Okay, in this video we're gonna discuss how we go about creating a foot roll for the foot of a character, and we're also gonna discuss how we go about creating custom attributes that we're gonna add to our controls, so we can animate the foot roll. And we're also gonna use set-driven keys to create that animation, and set-driven keys to be able to control the animation of our fingers. So we're gonna get back to something that we were discussing in the previous video, in which in order to mirror this control to the other side, what I ended up doing was selecting it and grouping it, and what that did is gave me another pivot point on top of what this originally had. So in a way, it's kind of like, it's going to be a similar approach to how we're going to take to create the foot roll here, in which we're going to create two more sets of IK chains here for the heel of our foot and our toe, and then we're going to group them and keep on grouping them to then kind of manipulate the location of the pivot points so we can create the rotation that we're looking for. Okay, so to begin with, I'm going to go ahead and just going to attach this tab. We're going to be using the IK handle tool again. Okay, for our legs and arms, we ended up using the rotate plane solver, but for this one, we're just going to use the single chain solver. Okay, now I'm going to create an IK from my ankle, or this one right here, to the heel of the foot, and then I'm going to do another one from here to here. So let's just see if this works. So let's just select this again, select this one, okay, and then we have that IK chain right there. Then I want to select this tool again and go from this to this one. Okay. You can go ahead and kind of label these. This will be the IK handle. The original one for the leg would be the one for your ankle. So ankle underscore L. Okay. And this was going to be the let's see, the ball of the foot. So ball L, and this is going to be for our toe, underscore toe L. Alright, that way we have an idea of what they are. Okay, so we got an ankle, we have our ball, and we have our toe. Alright, so we're going to start grouping and then changing the location of our pivots. So we're going to take the ankle, which is the one that's controlling this leg, and we're going to group it, and then we're going to move the pivot to the ball of the foot. So actually, to kind of keep track of this, I'm going to actually turn on my outliner just to kind of make sure that everything's going the way I want. So I'm going to go ahead and do Control G for group. Okay, and again, one of the things that you gotta notice is that this is already within our global control. The other ones are not. So I'm going to find that group here. Okay, and I'm gonna call this, I'm gonna select it. Okay, and again, remember that when you group things, your pivot automatically at 0, 0, 0. So I'm gonna hold D so I can change the pivot, and then hold V so I can actually snap it to the ball of the foot. Okay, and we can go ahead and call this one group ball let's just call it ball 1. And again, just kind of go ahead and just label it any way you feel that it makes more sense to you. The next step, we're gonna group the toe IK chain. So it's this one right here, which is outside of our global control still. And if we wanted to, we could actually kind of bring it up and just kind of link it to this, but all of this is going to be kind of grouped and parented and stuff anyway, so I'm just going to kind of wait on that. So I'm just going to go ahead and group it. Alright, and I'm going to call this one group, this pivot, the new one that you just created with this group, you're going to take it and actually snap it to the ball of foot as well. So D to manipulate the pivot, V so you can actually snap it, okay? And then you can label this group ball 2, okay? Because both of the pivots for this group and this one that we just created are actually both at the ball of the foot, okay? The next step, we're gonna take the ankle, the group ball 1, or we could even call this one ankle group actually, because it is the group that's coming from our ankle. Alright, we could just give it a label of L since it's on the left side, and this new group we can just call it the toe group actually, again because this is the toe, so it just kind of makes probably more sense if I do that. Toe underscore L. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select, well, I'm not having any luck labeling this one. Okay. I'm going to select the ankle group, and I'm going to select this toe group. Alright, and I'm also going to select the IK chain that we did from the ankle to the ball of the foot. Okay, I'm going to select all those three, and we're going to group these three together. So I'm going to do a Control G. Okay, and now that they're all grouped, I can actually kind of maybe take all these. Now they're all grouped here, and I want to take them actually, and I'm going to put them inside my IK group that I created earlier, so they're all inside my my global control. Okay, and alright, so we just grouped the what did we just group? We grouped the ankle group, which is this one, the toe group, and then the IK chain that we did from the ankle to the ball of the foot. Okay, and the next thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna select this pivot, and we're gonna take this group, and we're gonna take this new pivot that we created with this group, and we're gonna move it to the heel of the foot. Okay, which is right here. So we could call this group heel underscore L for left. Okay, so so basically we're just going to take this pivot and just kind of put it in the back of the foot here somewhere. So let's just do D so we can manipulate it. Alright, and we're going to go into our let's go into our right viewport and just align it to the back of the foot there. Okay, I'm holding the D here, and I'm just kind of making sure that the pivots are just kind of touching right here, I guess, and it's basically going to be pivoting from that point. I could actually, to make it even more accurate, just kind of put it here, just at the tip of where the mesh kind of ends right here and touches the floor. And let's go into perspective and see where that ended up. Again, not right yet, so let's just go to the front. Let's just turn this around a bit. get to the back and just try to move this more to the center here. Okay, so something along the lines of there. Again, as long as it's kind of pivoting at the heel of the foot. Okay, so I guess what's happening now is that now we have a pivot that's gonna control how our heel moves over here. And again, we're seeing a couple of skinning issues, which is completely fine. And you know, now that we see that that's a problem, we could probably come in here and kind of maybe fix them real quick. I'm just going to be using the paint scheme weight tools. Okay, let's just look at the options here. I just want to see maybe paint the influence of this completely to that bone. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. Go to value of 1. Just go in here and paint that influence there into my mesh. Okay. And I can fix this more a little bit later, but again, I just want to make sure that the mesh is kind of following along. So again, the idea is that we have this heel group, and now this is controlling the heel right here. Okay. All right, so that's looking good. Now we're gonna group this heel one more time. Okay, and this is gonna give us another pivot, which we're gonna move to the front of our toes here. Okay, so let's just do that one more time. So I'm gonna select this one, hold Control G to group it. Let's call this one group underscore toe and underscore left. Well, let's just call it toe pivot, so we're not confused with the other one that we created. Alright, so again, we have this new pivot that from the group. Okay, and we're gonna hold D, and we can snap it to our toe there. So here, let's just go to the right viewport, and I want this pivot not exactly to be there, but I actually want it to be like right here, again where the mesh kind of touches the ground. So again, D, so I can just manipulate that pivot. Alright, and then it's just a matter of make sure that it's kind of centered where I want it to be, which seems to be. And then again, I can select that group and just show that now it's pivoting from that point. So we have a couple things going on here. We have a group toe pivot, which is controlling this. Okay, alright, we have a heel group that's controlling this. Alright, and then I believe is the ankle group here that's controlling the roll of our ball here. Okay, so now that we have this setup, what we need to do is create a custom control that's going to control this animation without us having to go into our outliner and selecting these groups and animating this stuff individually. So to do that, the first step, it's basically we're going to create a control for the foot first. So I'm going to use one of these spline circles that I've been using, and again at this point I want to save my progress. Okay, do a Control D. Alright, and I want the pivot of this control to actually be aligned to the ankle of my foot. But first I'm just going to just make sure that my foot control is kind of aligned here somewhere. kind of center to this. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, this seems pretty good. Because again, it doesn't really matter where it's positioned, because the pivot, it's going to be centered right to the ankle joint. And again, if you want to go in here and maybe make it look more like a shoe or something like that, or you know, a foot or something like that, again, that's completely up to you. I'm kind of keeping mine just simple for the sake of efficiency. And I can go into my drawing overrides and just make sure this has the right colors for the left side, which I believe I chose red. Let's just find it. Okay. And alright, let's just kind of move it a little bit to the side here. That looks pretty good. Next thing I want to do is freeze transform this stuff. Alright, because again, we want this to be at 0, 0, 0. I'm going to hold D, and I'm going to hold V at the same time. Alright, and I'm going to try and snap it right there to the ankle. Alright, and that worked. Okay, and again, we can use that grouping technique to just kind of mirror to the other side to make sure that these are kind of the same. So let's just let's just label this first, CTRL foot, and then L. Okay, and let's just Control G to group it. Group. Make a duplicate of this group. Okay, and then mirror it. All right. And now we can get rid of our groups here, so because we don't need it anymore. So let's just get rid of that group. Same with this one. Relabel this one. This will be foot. Sorry, R_R. Okay. Foot_L. Alright. And again, we can go in here and go into the attributes and change this to green for the right side. Okay, or whatever color you chose. And the pivot, again, because it's the same as the other hair, is going to be centered right here. So these controls we want to bring into our global control. Okay. So I also have these controls for my knees for the swivel, which I need to cut. You know what? Now that I'm kind of doing this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to select all these controls, and again, I want them to be part of my global control, so they scale. You know, whenever I move and stuff, they're going to move with it. So let's just bring them into this control, the global control, and now they're part of this. Alright, but now I want to take this the toe pivot control, and we're gonna parent it to our left foot control, so this actually follows the control. So let's just middle mouse and drag it into our left foot, and again, this one's gonna pivot right at the ankle, and now you know it's gonna follow pretty much anything that control does. Alright. So you know, and eventually we want to do the same thing to the other side, but right now let's just focus on this side. So let's now the next step, I'm gonna go into this control. Alright, and okay, for some reason I froze it, and then it's kind of going back to this. Let's see what happens if I freeze it now. Alright, so we don't want to do that. I'm just going to do a couple of steps before I move in all of these groups, just to make sure that they're all kind of let's see, freeze transform. So I think I might have made a little bit of mistake here, because it doesn't seem like I freeze transformed my global control before I moved everything in here. So it's kind of changing the values of a lot of the stuff that I have in here. But that can be easily fixed, because I can just select everything and just kind of take it out of there for a minute. Select this guy again, just freeze transform everything. Alright, and then just kind of take everything back in. Which are all our controls. Not this one. Again, this is why it's important to have everything labeled, because it's just easier to kind of go back in here and just kind of go in there and just, you know, move things out and stuff. We have the IK groups. And let's just kind of again take all that stuff and move them back in. So we have this, we have the IK handles. Looks like this was the group. I don't know what they are. Let's just group them to this. Put them back into our global control. And this is the joint hierarchy, and again, I don't know if I need it, or I could just call this a joint group, it's fine. But I can just kind of take it back and put it into my global, and okay, so everything's kind of back to normal. So again, it's probably one of the reasons why it's kind of important to kind of freeze transform your stuff. So you just kind of gotta be careful with that. Alright, so now our controls are working the way they're supposed to. No, not yet. We are, let's see, let's go back to making sure that our toe pivot group here, it's part of the foot control. Okay. And by doing that, it's going to follow along. So okay, so what I was trying to get to in a second, and I got a little detracted here by trying to fix my little mistake here, is that now we need to create custom attributes to for this foot roll. Okay. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to add a custom attribute to a channel box here. So the way you do that, you go to edit right here and then go to add attribute. Alright, and this basically what it does is pretty much adds an attributes to your channel box here. So first thing, just give it a name. In my case, I'm gonna create two custom attributes. One's gonna be for a foot roll. Alright, and I need to make sure that it's keyable, data type of float, everything else as default. The minimum for this, I want it to be -10. The maximum, I want it to be 10, and the default at 0. And then we're gonna click add, and now you're gonna be able to see it here under our channel box. Alright, now the next one I want to create is the toe roll. So toe roll, keyable, float, minimum of 10, maximum of 10, default 0. Okay, and then add it. So now we've added two custom attributes to our channel box here, and we can just close this. But again, this don't do anything by itself. It's just basically something that we can use to control increments, but right now there's really nothing assigned to them. So the way that we're gonna assign I guess the animation of the foot roll is by using something called, and again let me just find it here, set driven keys. So we go to animate, set driven key, and I'm just gonna separate this, and I'm gonna click on set. Okay, now let me close this, and I want to open it one more time. Make sure that you don't have anything selected first of all. All right, we want empty boxes here. So the way that the set driven keys work is that it's a relation. We're gonna go in here and set some movement and set some keys with our set driven key, but it's not an animation relationship. It's a relationship that is gonna set the movement for the role here, or it pretty much can be anything. But it's not something that you can actually find on a curve editor. It's not animation, but it's gonna seem like it, but it's not. It's just a relationship between in this case the attributes of this channel box and the movement of some of these groups that we created. So the driver, it's basically gonna be the control, because it's going to drive the animation. So we want to select this one and click on load driver. Okay, the next thing you want to do once you have the driver selected, you want to select to what specifically it's going to go, the specific relationship that you're establishing. So we're going to select the foot roll first. Okay, the next thing you want to do, we're going to go in here to foot control. All right. We're going to bring in three things. We need to bring in the toe pivot, which is creating this animation. Okay. We need to bring in the group heel, which has this movement, and we're going to bring in let's see, I believe it's the ankle one, which is going to create the roll. All right. This toe group right here, this one we're going to be using for the toe roll. Alright, but again, we're going to do a separate set driven key for that. So we want to bring in this one that controls this movement, the heel for this one, and the ankle for the roll. Alright, so let me just control select all these three. Alright, so make sure you don't select the group toe yet, because we're not using that one, and we're gonna load this one as the driven. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna select all three of these. Alright, and I want to select the rotate X, because all of the rotations that I need to create are actually on the X axis of these groups. Okay. And again, if yours is different, you just have to make sure you know which one it is. I know for a fact that for mine is the x-axis. So now that we have this, we need to go back into the channel box, and we need to start establishing a couple things. Right now my foot roll is at 0, and all of these groups pivots are actually where they need to be at 0. So what I do now it's knowing that the driver it's at 0 and the rotation of these are at this position, which is 0 for them, then I'm going to set a key for them. Okay, and if I go back, see, I just gotta make sure they're right. Set a key. Alright, and I'm hoping this is working the way I like to. So we set a key, and what the key does, alright, is that it's telling the control that at 0 we want these groups pivots to be in this position. Okay, so let's just change this to -10. Okay, so what do I want to happen at -10? Okay, at -10 I want to have the heel of the foot as back as it can go. So I'm going to select this. Alright, sorry, I'm going to select the group that controls the heel, which is this one. And again, notice that there is already some sort of key kind of set up there. Alright, And again, you gotta make sure you go into your before you do this, you're gonna go back into your foot roll, set it up to a different number that's not 0, because we already established that 0 is gonna be still. So at -10, we're gonna select the heel, all right, and we're gonna kind of move it back. Let's just do something like -35. And again, you want to keep this, maybe write this amount somewhere, so you can actually do a similar increments when you have to do this for your right side. So that way you know. Alright, so now that I've set the driver at a -10 and the driven, which is the heel control, at -35, I'm going to come here and set another key. So what had just happened? And let's just see if this works. At 0, again, remember we set a relationship between these three objects at when the control was at 0 and nothing here. There was no rotations in any of this. So the driver knows that at 0 I want everything to be at this point. Then I went, alright, and I changed my foot roll to -10, right? And then I did the rotation and I set a key for it. So now the driver knows that at -10 this is the action that I want to happen. Alright? So okay, let's just go ahead and continue. The next one that we're gonna do is at 5. Okay? And again, it goes back to 0 because we haven't said anything for 5 yet. So at 5 we want to lift our heel. Alright, so we have not our heel. We're gonna be using our ankle group to actually roll our ankle like this. So this is what's happening at 5. Alright, and you know, we can make this 56. Alright, just so it's a round number there. And again, we gotta go to a control, make sure that's on 5. And once we have both the heel roll here and the foot roll at 5, I want to set another key here. Alright, and again, that means that when I go to my foot control, if I go to -10, the heel is going to go all the way back. If I go to 0, it's going to be back at default. If I go to 5, it's going to do a heel roll. Okay? The last one that we're going to execute, it's basically the last one, which was the toe pivot. Alright? And again, to do that one, we come here into our channel box, change this to 10. Okay, make sure we go into our group here and we're gonna choose the toe pivot. But before that, we gotta make sure we go into our ankle here and we gotta kind of put this back to where it was, or 0. Alright, and then I'm gonna go back into my toe pivot and then just lift my pivot like this. Alright, so and again, this can be 52 here. Alright, so again, just to double check, my foot roll, it's a 10, which is at the maximum that I set it up for, and my pivot, my toe pivot is all the way up like this. So then I go into my set driven keys and set another relationship there. And if I go back to my control, this is basically what it's doing. If -10, it does this, and 5, 10. Alright. Alright, so that's a foot roll. And alright, I think I'm gonna stop the video here. Okay, So the idea on I'm gonna do the left foot on my own, and then come back, and on the next video we're going to look into how to create custom attributes for our fingers. And again, it's going to be basically the same system that we're creating for the toes here, but I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate that separately. So on my own, I'm going to do my other ankle, and then I'm going to come back and do this hand, and then just kind of do a little bit of cleanup, and I should be finished with my with the rig on the next video.